If you are new to this series, we have been going through every single national title claim in college football history for the FBS or highest level at the time it was claimed. At this time, we have covered all the teams that have claimed 5 titles or less and are moving on to the higher numbers. Please go back and watch those for me after this if you enjoy this sort of thing. Prior to the college football playoffs and BCS national title game, we relied only on the polls to determine the college football national champion, with some formulas and short-lived systems in between attempting to better things. The polling system failed many times, with as many as 4 to 6 teams in contention that never even played each other. This often resulted in many split national championship years. Prior to 1965, some polls voted on their national champions before the bowl games were even played, and then saw their champion lose their final game. If you go back a little further, the first attempt to straighten things out came in 1936 with the creation of the AP poll, and was often the most respected poll for many years. But even then, the early media had their biases and favorites due to what they were familiar with. If all the writers and voters only saw Notre Dame or Yale, they would have no way to compare it to what was going on down south or out west, and usually just sided with what they knew. Prior to the AP, we had a wild, lawless 67 years of college football where many or no teams called themselves national champions, and a lot of those teams didn't even claim national titles in this era until more modern polls went back and retroactively named them national champions. While the AP poll is often the benchmark for a champion from 1936 to 1998, I would still argue that point. If the AP named you champion and nobody else did, that smells a bit fishy. Personally, I tend to side with what a majority of the polls say. So if the AP says you are the champ, but 11 others don't, I look deeper into the situation. And that's just me. You are free to do or think whatever you like.
Jerry, just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
And of course, I view any titles won through the playoffs or BCS title game as automatically 100% legit from the start of the video, even if you disagree with the selection committee. And yes, I have also disagreed with them plenty of times. On the flip side, any that claim a separate title outside of those official parameters I view as complete bullshit, whether the selection committee screwed said team or not. History is history, and I respect that fact, even if I dislike that fact. For the purposes of this channel, I'm only going by what the school actually claims. I will do a series covering unclaimed titles later on. I have added a layer to my tiers and now broken them down into 5 sections. 100% legit, debatable but fair, I see your argument but no, complete bullshit, and introducing 1941 Alabama, which will be reserved for the most imaginary or dumb claims that exist. Alright, show of hands. Who knew that Michigan State claimed 6 national titles in football? Sure, a majority of us know that they have their moments from time to time, but if you caught me off guard and asked me on the street, sure, I knew that they had claimed some, but my guess would have maybe been 2. And I don't think I'm alone. But maybe that's because some of these aren't so legit, or maybe it's because they have to live in the shadows of rivals like Notre Dame and Michigan. Whatever the case may be,
you're gonna learn today. You're gonna learn today.
Regardless, let's go check out this 15-year window where Michigan State was the one in the Midwest puffing out their chest and having the time of their lives. The first claim Sparty makes is 1951. We have already been to this season once with Illinois. In that one, I called the Illini bullshit due to having a really bad tie with a not-so-good Ohio State team. For more context on that point, please go check out the Illinois video. Michigan State entered 1951 strong at number 2, having only lost once in 1950. The team started the year by shutting out Oregon State and Michigan before squeaking by that previously mentioned Ohio State team 24-20, who were, to their credit, ranked number 7 at the time. From there, MSU was solid with a handful of decisive wins and a couple of close calls and a great showing 35-0 over number 11 Notre Dame to finish 9-0. 3 selectors named Michigan State champions, though the AP and coaches had them as their second choice. Tennessee also claims this one alongside the Spartans and Illinois, but I'll get to them in my very next video as they also claim 6. As for MSU, well, This is going to be tough because the most legit champion of 1951 does not actually claim their title and will be an easy entry into my next series of unclaimed titles. For this reason, I can only go by who is actually claiming it. Illinois was not legit. Tennessee's verdict is coming soon, but Sparty is going to have to fall just below 100% at debatable but fair. I really have no problems with the claim other than the big debate right above them, but that conversation shouldn't invalidate them at all. You can only control so much, and they did enough to win over several selectors. We now jump ahead to only the next season of 1952. That didn't take long. The Spartans entered the season ranked number 1 and only dipped once for 1 week. The team beat everyone in their way, including the likes of Michigan 27-13, number 17 Penn State 34-7, number 8 Purdue 14-7, and number 6 Notre Dame 21-3. Aside from Oregon State, Purdue, and Michigan, none of these games were even that close. The 9-0 Spartans were given the consensus national title from the AP and coaches, along with most other selectors of the time and retroactively. This sounds like an undisputed case, huh? Well, not so fast.
Not so fast, my friend. This is Sparta!
Georgia Tech also claims this one and had the support of 6 selectors. I covered the Jackets in their video and called them debatable but fair. They went 12-0, playing 3 more games and beat higher ranked opponents. As I say in that video, I actually don't think their claim is very debatable at all, but it goes against the consensus. But hey, the consensus was wrong. We needed an even split decision here. Okay, enough about Georgia Tech. Go check out that video for more. As for Michigan State, it is obviously 100% legit based on the overwhelming praise by the masses and perfect record. But if Tech had maybe even one more selector, I'd have to go back and give them 100% also. In my mind, it's an even split, but since I'm going against a lot of other people, I'll concede the debatable note for Tech. Respect to both teams, hang those banners high. After a great 1953 and a horrible 1954, we arrive at 1955. And as I mentioned, coming off the nightmare of 1954, the team began unranked. And wouldn't you know it, in Game 2, they took a 14-7 loss at Michigan, which is respectable, but a loss no less. From there, the Spartans did great with key wins over number 20 Stanford, 38-14, number 4 Notre Dame, 21-7, and capped the season with a win over number 4 UCLA in the Rose Bowl, 17-14, to finish 9-1. The team was named National Champions by the Bowen system, a mathematical formula that names champions from 1930 to 1960 and retroactively for 1919 to 1929. And that was all. The only selector. MSU finished ranked number 2 in both the coaches and AP polls, and for a good reason. Oklahoma was the real and only national champion. Sorry to spoil part of the upcoming Oklahoma video, but when your consensus national champion, 11-0, beat number 3 undefeated Maryland in the Orange Bowl, and the only team trying to challenge that has a loss and one mathematical formula on their side, have some integrity, Michigan State. This claim is complete bullshit. After a 2-loss 1956, we arrive at the next claim in 1957. Sparty began the season ranked number 4 and made quick work of Indiana, Cal, and number 6 Michigan to start the season 3-0 and rose to number 1 in the rankings. Then, they lost at home to unranked Purdue 20-13. The Boilermakers would go on to finish 5-4. The loss dropped the team to number 8, where they would win out with key wins over number 16 Illinois 19-14 and number 15 Notre Dame 34-6 to finish 8-1 and ranked 3 in both major polls. Only the Dunkel Index, another mathematical formula that ran from 1929 to the creation of the college football playoffs. Auburn and Ohio State also claimed this title. In my Auburn video, I said that this is one of 2 100% legit claims for Auburn as they went 10-0 with the AP crown. I have not yet gotten to Ohio State. As for Michigan State, you had one terrible loss and are trying to compete with a perfect Auburn who had a similar strength of schedule. Sparty is not even close here, and this borders the line of completely made up. I'm kind of torn on how low to go here. You did beat 3 ranked teams and somehow won over an algebra equation. I won't quite put you in 1941 Alabama territory, but this title is ultimately bullshit as well. For the final 2 claims, we visit the 60s, starting with 1965. Coming off a losing season, it is no surprise that the team began the year unranked. But after starting out 5-0, the Spartans had risen to number 2 entering their game against number 6 Purdue. They won that one 14-10 and later closed out the regular season with a 12-3 win at number 4 Notre Dame to finish 10-0. Then, in a tough-fought Rose Bowl, Michigan State's comeback fell short when their 2-point conversion failed and lost 14-12, dropping them to 10-1. So here's the thing. As previously mentioned in this series, the AP permanently started naming champions after the bowls in 1968. The coaches poll, however, would not adopt this practice until 1974. I think you can see where this is headed. Yeah, MSU won the coaches poll champion as they had their number 1 crown anointed before the Rose Bowl loss along with a few other selectors. Alabama is the only other team claiming this one as the AP champion. The Tide went 9-1-1 with an Orange Bowl win. Now this one is kind of tough. Alabama lost to an average Georgia team and tied an unranked Tennessee, who did go on to finish number 7 though. Michigan State lost the final game, which obviously hurts. But if you step back, both kind of even out in a way. An early loss and tie should discredit Alabama, but it was early and they won big near the finish line. Michigan State stumbled at the worst time, but it doesn't seem that they fell much less out of contention as they normally would with an undefeated team right behind them. So to summarize what I just said, Bama had worse losses and ties, but good timing. MSU had bad timing with their one loss, but to a good team. Alabama has not yet been covered in this series, as they will be third from last in numerical order. So more on them later. I would lean towards Michigan State. It wasn't their fault that the polls named them champions before the bowls. That was standard practice at the time. But we, in present day, get the benefit of hindsight. If Auburn and others can go back and claim unclaimed titles, it stands to reason that you could in theory go back and unclaim some less glamorous ones. I don't know why you would though. Take all the accolades once given, even if they are given by mistake. But I'm just dragging you guys around and down a path I'm actually not going to take. It was all just a rant. Normally, if you lost your bowl game like this, I'd just say no. But to me, this situation puts them on even ground with Alabama and not necessarily behind them. So, for this messy situation, I am going to go debatable but fair. I see this as a split, but not at the 100% tier. And remember this rant for later, Alabama, and don't accuse me of only targeting you with this kind of logic. For our final claim, we need only to go to the following year. 1966, Michigan State started out with huge expectations entering the season at number 2. The team got through the 9 games perfect, though only playing one ranked team in a 41-20 win over Purdue. In the final game, the Spartans tied number 1 Notre Dame 10-10 to finish 9-0-1. MSU did not get much respect as only the College Football Researchers Association named them sole champions, with 3 others naming them co-champions. Notre Dame at 9-0-1 also claims this title as the consensus champion, and they should. If you've heard anything I just said, you'll know who that one is. If we were comparing the two separately, sure, the Irish played a tougher schedule and I'd favor them, but the two teams actually played each other to a tie, so there's really no debate here. Both teams making a claim are legit as equals due solely on the results of that game. The number 3 team could also make a case at 11-0, but they chose not to, likely due to a very weak schedule, so we'll just have our top 2 contenders sharing this one at 100%. But for what it's worth, I do think Notre Dame was the better team, but they had their shot to prove it and did not. So that is it for the claims. I am surprised that I found 4 legit in my eyes, but it's definitely not 6. Lately in this series, I've been ending with my thoughts on if I think the team in question will be adding to the trophy case anytime soon, like within the next 5 to 10 years. It would be easy to say no after coming off a 4th straight losing season, but Michigan State has made the playoffs, which is more than teams like Florida or USC can say. But that's past success. Currently, the team is going in the wrong direction. The recruiting isn't very high, and we just had a coaching change. While crazy runs happen all the time, being in the Big Ten makes it tough, and a 2025 Indiana type of team isn't going to magically show up every year or even every 10. It's a rare story. So while I think it's possible that Sparty has improved success in the next 5 to 10 years, I do not think that will include a national title and probably not even another playoff appearance. But you never know. The The support is there, and they've had good players. The trajectory just doesn't look great at this time. And there we go. If you feel I was unfair or missed a piece of info, go ahead and make your case in the comments. Please go check out the other videos in this series. There is a playlist for them, and I just recently finished up all teams who claim up to 5 titles. And remember, this is just one guy on YouTube who did some research and gave an opinion. I'm sure I won't change any fan base's opinion on the titles they choose to boast about, and certain fan bases have made that pretty clear thus far. This has been College Football Chronicles, and I hope you join me next time.